Well, like I said,
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome here to another episode of Duckman TV. Got special guest Troy Baxter with us from Rooty Hill RSL Hockey Club. He's an absolute champion bloke. Look forward to having a bit more of a chat. So I chatted to Troy the other week, and the call cut out when my phone overheated. There's technology for you, everybody. So don't rely on your phones to save you in an emergency. It just won't come through. Troy, thanks for your time again. Really appreciate being able to make some more time to carry on because I was enjoying where the chat was going and want to give it a good plug for what you've done and everything you've achieved this year with Rooty Hill
good
RSL.
evening, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a good chat. It's a bit of a gas bag, so I love to talk about what I'm passionate about. Look,
Absolutely.
the grand final was a phenomenal feat for ourselves. We've been chasing it for a long time. We knew that we had to come out fast and hard. We had drawn with Panthers a few times during the season, and they sort of had a few wins against us. So we knew that this game meant a lot to us. For one, so we knew that we had to put the goal in first, and we did that. So we really then didn't sort of take the foot off the accelerator, if you'd like to say, and we just continued to play good, fast, hard hockey. Unfortunately, I think I mentioned on the last episode, I got myself a bit of a red card in the semi-final, so I couldn't actually play in the grand final, which was a really real disappointment for myself. But in saying that, the young guys sort of dedicated the game for me, to me, and they just play like true champions, and it's still great to be a part of what we undertook as a team. The growth over the past few years was really, really good. We had signed good players. We had some great representative players that had sort of come back to the association after playing in Sydney, and it just sort of all the stars seemed to align on this day, and it was a hard-fought match. Panthers tried to do everything. They even took their goalkeeper off to put an extra player on the field, which he
Seriously.
was not happy about. He was not happy about that at all.
Yeah.
But we just managed to be able to hold on and really had a convincing win. It wasn't just a win. It was we sort of towed them up like they've towed us up so many times in the past 10 years. You got to think their dominance has been for 10 years. And for us to actually manage to be able to knock them off the perch and sort of showed that there's a new dynasty now, and there's the tides have changed, and very proud of the young guys. They really stood up and just played good, strong hockey against guys that are very, very experienced. A lot of them are state representative players in the past, but the youth and the fitness, that definitely plays a big part in the formula. And we had a few good wise old guys out there that sort of just kept their head and kept the young guys in check, which was, like I said, a winning formula. I could see it sort of growing over the seasons. We've been together for about 3 seasons. Unfortunately, with the COVID, that sort of put a big dampener on things.
Yep.
Sort of left us at a bit of a standstill. So I did think it was on the cards, but until the final whistle, you just don't know what can happen in a game of hockey. It's such a fast-paced game that you can score goals in a matter of a few minutes. So, and this team has been known to do that to us. Is we've had a convincing win, what we think, and it ends up in a loss or a draw. So, it was to hear that final whistle was just a breath of fresh air for me. There's a fine when you jump the fence, but I jumped the fence and embraced my son who plays in the team, and one of the young fellas that I've known since a junior. And it was just, quite a few tears, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
um, you know, but that's what it's all about, is, building this camaraderie with your teammates.
Yeah.
And we really haven't turned on each other all year or anything like that. We haven't had that politics, and we've seemed to have a great match between the old and the young guys, and I really do contribute that to a lot of the formula that was the winning formula in the end.
Yeah. So so I imagine like the Panther side said they've been around for a long time now, that team, and they've been up to, if you're the benchmark for a long period of time, you don't rejuvenate your squad, you can go over the other side of the hill as such, and then you have troubles trying to rebuild because everyone else is trying to catch up to your benchmark standard. Did you play a real high tempo game and really take it up to them because you had a younger, fitter side? Was that
Uh,
how you
we
like
we
worked it?
absolutely look, we had sort of had a good squad at the start of the year, and unfortunately, we won the B grade the year before, so we had to put another A grade in. And it really depleted our ranks where we didn't always have a consistent 15 players, 16 players. Being able to rely on subs, makes it a lot easier. But I do really believe that us playing sort of those games during the season where we're only playing with 11 players because of injury and other factors, really conditioned us so much better than they were. So, yeah, you're totally right. We did outrun them. We outplayed them. And in the end, outclassed them. And that was a lot to do with the youth and the fitness of our old fellas too. We work hard to keep to that level of ability and speed. And I saw it at training. I had a training session on the Tuesday night with the women and the men, and we played against each other at the end. And the men, I must say, nothing against our ladies team, but they're definitely that next level up. But their passes were so crisp, and I was watching, and I was very confident, even with the way the women were playing, that both games were going to be good, strong games on Rooty Hill's behalf. So, yeah, you want to sort of see the peak at the end of the season. You don't really want to be peaking at the middle of the season, you could say.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to keep a few of the
Yeah.
tricks in the bag, sort of. So we did have that, I believe.
Yeah. Now I know the pitches where you played on over Uni Western Sydney at Kingswood. It's not very far from my house where I live at Glenmore Park.
Yeah.
So they got two pitches over there. They got the dry sand one, then they got the other one that's wet. Does it make a difference when you play on one or the other how you're going to play? And do other teams need to adapt and change to how that? And do you adapt and change to how you play on the different pitches as well?
You definitely do. And unfortunately, we got a new field laid, would it be 4 years, 3 or 4 years ago now. And within the first season, it started having potholes. So they're actually going through a legal battle at the moment. So that closed that field down. So both of them are water fields, but one can be played dry.
Yeah.
And we do water them. All fields are different. They've got a bit of, newer field will have a different bounce, might have
Yeah.
a bit more spin on the ball. Where we train on the field that we played the grand final on, so we're very confident on that field. If we were to play on the other field where we did in the first year, the new field, it was definitely a lot to get used to just because of the bounce and the spring of the actual AstroTurf itself.
Yeah.
It hasn't been worn down as much. It's like a new pair of shoes sort of thing. You got to wear the tread in and wear the
Yeah.
sole in a bit for them to be
Yeah.
comfortable, sort of thing.
So what's the lifespan on those artificial pitches anyway in general? Because they're made out of rubber compound. For people that don't know, effectively it's like millions of little rubber balls make up the field as opposed to just sand and then roll out like an AstroTurf pitch like indoor cricket. It's not like that at all, is it?
Yeah, no, look, there's different. I believe that there's different levels of your grading of AstroTurf. So the
Yeah.
stuff that the world class championships are played on, they're the top of the notch fields. Those fields cost millions of dollars. I think our field was $700,000, and it's been shut down, for the past few years. And like I said, we're going through a legal battle, so it makes it very difficult for the association to logistically sort of run because you want to be able to utilize both fields.
Yeah.
They really are. They're miles ahead. When I first come on the scene, or when they first come on the scene, because I grew up playing on grass, they were sand based, and you used to fall over, and it was like falling over on concrete. You would tear yourself apart. It was it was blood every match that you had to pay the old AstroTurf god. So it was pretty scary stuff. You really didn't want to take that dive, and unfortunately for me, I'm sort of don't think about the preservation too much of my body when I've got that adrenaline going. And I'd go for a dive and realize, oh, that's going to take a week and a half of healing, sort of thing, you know. But
Yeah.
the fields that are watered are definitely better to fall on. But still, they will, graze your skin and stuff like that. The new fields that they're doing overseas are actually a grass and astroturf composite. So you're actually getting natural grass growing through the astroturf. So I haven't played on a field like that yet, but I know that the English soccer is dealing on that side of things. So it would be great to play on something like that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, well, for bringing out the world's best technology all over the place now to try to find the best fit for everywhere. But so, like, obviously in the UK and Britain and that, they've got oppressive weather, cold temperatures, not freezing all the time, but getting down to the 1 to 8 degree sort of range on a very regular
Yeah,
basis, wet all the time. The grass isn't a good fit, and not necessarily the full astroturf either. So I'm not surprised they're trying these different things out.
yeah,
Um, so it gets hot playing on AstroTurf. It gets very hot playing on AstroTurf. Done it plenty of times in soccer when it get in summer and it's getting up 35 degrees in the sun on grass. It feels like 50 when you're on that when you're playing. So how do you get your guys training on it through the summer periods to condition themselves? And do they like even the dry ones? They get watered up a bit when it's heading into the summer
yeah.
period.
Yeah, they do. Look, on your hot days, you also got to think about once you're laying that water on the field, with the heat, it actually makes
Humidity.
it a bit humid. Yeah, yeah. So you are dealing with that, probably halfway through our winter season, the weather is still very hot and you're sweating and you're dropping, fluids, consistently. They've just a few years ago brought in quarters. I'm not a big fan of it as a player. As a coach, I am because I can sort of get in the heads of my players a bit more often. I've got a few more opportunities
Yeah.
to talk to them. But yeah, so that definitely was brought in because of basically like your drink break, where they bring your drinks out on the field, have a quick drink, have a quick chat, and then get back out there, sort of things. So that's the way they've dealt with that. A lot of our guys, not that I'm a big indoor hockey player, but they play indoor hockey during the summer, and they're usually played in basketball stadiums. So once again, the
Yep.
humidity is and the heat it's like a sauna. So these guys really are well conditioned
Yeah.
individuals, for winter then sort of to come back on.
So does playing in the modern game with quarters now, is it much different to when you were playing? Like, and is it different coaching? Like, so obviously now you've got coaches. If I was coaching, I'm not a hockey person, but I'd be trying to coach to let's survive the quarter, try not to give up goals. If we can nick one, that's great. But let's work on preservation of zero and then work and build up next quarter. We'll do the same, just work small steps. Does that change your strategy, how you deal with the game now?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, for me now it definitely is more tactical. I'll go out there with a game plan for pretty much each quarter, and if it's rolling on, and those first two quarters, the first half of hockey is exactly the way I want it, I'll continue on with the game plan. Then I'll have sort of an alternative plan, which is like my backup plan, plan B, which then I can switch to. So there's a lot more, when you see teams that are got 3 or 4 guys running their bench and all like that, the reason for that is because there's so much going on, and you're also giving information to those players that are running out there to potentially watch other players on the opposition, or to see someone who's lagging a bit and having an off game and attack through that hole. So it's definitely more tactical, I believe so, than previously. It was probably up to the players to identify it more, or you had
Yeah.
to do it through your subs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the game's evolved.
Yeah. So you work with a coaching team now. You got a couple of assistants and people that are helping you manage the subs on the bench and that stuff as well.
Unfortunately, no, I'm a bit of a a bit of a sole soldier. It's
Yeah.
like most things. At this level, people they don't always want to give up their time because time is money.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, you know, I'm a very passionate person about it. I just love the like I've said before, I love the camaraderie of it, and
Yeah.
I sort of love being that, I suppose, you know, general that's you know out there and demonstrating, and I love it when the players come off and go, mate, that worked, or they
Yeah.
come off and they go, oh, I know what you're talking about now. You know, we did it and it worked. You know, and they're the little things that I think if you can put back into the game, it's beneficial for yourself and. You know, it's beneficial for the players and the community. You know, it takes all the coaches and managers and trainers and all like that to run these things. My son's heavily involved in Brothers Football Club, and
Yeah.
I admire rugby league so much because of the levels that they go to with their management and their trainers and their coaches and you know their water
Yeah.
boys and all of that type of stuff. It's definitely something I embrace and try to take knowledge from
Yeah.
and try to submit it back into hockey. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work.
It's a good thing to try to inspire the team. Like I always work on the Fury, and I've thought if you can see the world's best practice in NFL and AFL and hockey and rugby league and all those things, you can take little bits out of all those games to put together something better that you do, or a better management style, better coaching style, or whatever that suits your team, gets better outcomes and results. Why wouldn't you do that? So just because it's from
That's
another
exactly
sport,
it.
why wouldn't you take the best practices that there are and try to utilize these for the benefit of your own team or for your own personal ambitions? Of course, you would do it.
I definitely will, and I think the frustrating thing for me is I try to, you know, lead the association and my club into these areas, and you know, you've got people who just are stubborn for you know to change. They just don't want to change, and it's not helping the game overall.
Yeah,
It's you know sort of making it harder on the clubs, and you know it's like anything, mate. You just got to persevere. You know,
yeah,
that's sort of my motto. Is just persevere and work through it, and you'll have your time in the
yeah,
sun, sort of thing. You know.
yeah. It's interesting that you said that because traditionally, when you look at hockey from outside view as a fan, like I do as a fan, I remember when Rick Charlesworth coached the Hockey Roos. He was a
Yeah.
superstar, and he was a
Yep.
cricket guy. So I
Yep.
can't remember if he played hockey or not, but I think he must
Yeah.
have played hockey.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he
He did.
played cricket for Western Australia as well, and he was good. But they were strong. But then you hear in the last couple of years, there's turmoil in the administration level, Hockey Australia, like but the teams don't run like that. The teams run like they're well-oiled machines. Surely there's administration problems that got nothing to do with anything going on at match day level. So
You know, I think sometimes, like if you look at soccer and gridiron and basketball in America and in Europe, a lot of these coaches weren't fantastic players.
yeah,
They just were really, really smart operators.
yeah,
And I think hockey's probably one of those things where we think, oh, we have to put in an ex-Olympian for it to be successful.
yeah,
And you know, I look at a lot of things with the Australian team at the moment, and I go, mate, I could have this team winning world championships. I would have this team winning the Olympic gold medals
yeah,
because I know I would get the best out of them. I think they become sort of disconnected, and then they're trying to force down the old way on the new way. And the young guys are going, but mate, we're better than you are. Um, and
yeah,
and there's a conflict. There's a conflict. And as a player, you know, if you're going to knock heads against your coach, especially at that level, it could cost you your ride to the Olympics.
yeah,
So, you know, you've really got to listen to these young guys and you've got to embrace what they're saying. It doesn't mean that they're always right or you always have to take it on board. But I do believe that is the gap that needs to be bridged with the Australian hockey side of things, you know, at that level.
yeah. And this what I've seen across other sports too. Um, coached soccer for a long time and rugby too. You
Yep.
become old quickly, even as a coach. You just become old. So that's the nature of as you get older, you're getting older. And the younger players are doing things now that I wasn't doing at their age. So the top level guys, even in the Penrith comp, I've got no doubt, the guys that are like 19, 20, 21 in your side now are probably doing things that you and your mates were doing when you're 25. So they're a couple of years ahead of like physically and technically advanced on the field. So you do have to embrace the idea and stuff that they're doing, because that they know what gets the best output out of their bodies and stuff.
Definitely, it's understanding your own ability as the player. You know, if you asked half of these coaches to do what these young guys are doing, they wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
They didn't come up in that era of that technique being available or even being used. So, you know, like I said, you've got to work to your strengths at the end of the day, you know, and if you're not working to your strengths, well, you're at a disadvantage already, because for one, you're not making the player believe. And
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says, belief is the biggest drive, the biggest motivator. That's what you have to have. If you've got a team of superstars and they're not believing, you're not going to win. You know,
Yeah.
you're going to look good. You know, you might have a few good games, but the team that actually believes in what they're doing, I think they're going to be a lot stronger opponent. And I think that's where you've got to sort of come back to, just like human science, you know, being able to understand what works and what motivates.
Yeah, well, that's 100% right. Because if they believe in it, they're going to buy in it as well, and they're going to put in the effort that it takes to get the results at that level. If I don't think it's worthwhile, well, you'll see the results in how much effort and application they put into the task to get the results. So how big's the Penrith competition that you're playing? Like, how widespread is it, and how far is your catchment area of games?
So basically, we all play out of the university grounds.
Yep.
And this is a part of a problem that is in hockey at the moment. And it goes from where the closest to the city, where Rooty Hill, and it goes to
Yeah.
Blaxland. You've got Emu Plains, Penrith Panthers, Penrith RSL's got one team. They were quite strong, but they've sort of died off. Yeah, so, you know, we did have Kings Langley. We did have Borkham Hills, but unfortunately there was just some political things that have gone on that seem to, you know, cause that ripple effect where they stay and then they leave, you know, and I would like to see, you know, there's a $5 million development going in at Blacktown, or at near Featherdale Park,
Yep.
Featherdale Reserve. And they say they're putting in a hockey field there. I would like it to be dedicated for hockey, for Rooty Hill RSL Hockey Club, for us to be able to have our own identity. Because it's very hard to have your own identity when you've got 5 or 6 clubs playing at the one location.
Yep.
You know, it's hard to put up your banners and to make it feel like it's your clubhouse when you don't, you know, you're sharing it. You know,
Yep.
so that's something that a lot of associations in hockey are suffering with. Norelland's the same way. They've got 3 teams and they've got, you know, multiple clubs playing out of that one venue. So the thing of away games and home games is sort of, at the moment in the West, the thing of the past. And it's really quite sickening, because we put so much money into all these other sports, and we really should be endorsing and backing these clubs like Rooty Hill that are, you know, 41 years old, and, you know, developing good players and put back into the sport and put back into the clubs. So that's something that in the next few weeks I'll be contacting Blacktown Council and trying to get involved to a degree, and say, look, you know, now we've got the credentials, we've won the first grade men's premiership. How about give us a fair go, sort of thing, you know what I mean? And because a lot of the changes that we want to make is very hard, because it's on university land, so it's on federal land. So that's very hard to deal with. It's not like dealing with your local council. So, you know, there's definitely difficulties there that the association faces.
Well, you got a pretty strong marketing ploy there by winning the competition, and you go up to the mayor, hey, look at this.
You've got to strike while the iron's hot, mate.
Look what we've got here. So hit me up if you want to have a look at that. You can have a closer look at that. So
well, we just got a young chap, Cody Stone, into the under 21 state team. So that really is the doorway through to the national team. That's the age bracket you want to be at that level, at that time in your career, because the next step is, the Australian team and you're playing in the Olympics then or World
Well,
Cups. I
that's
believe he'll
exceptional when
make
you've
it.
got a player from Rooty Hill that's gone that far now. So,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
yeah. So, who are some of the notable players you've played with over the years?
Look, there's been a lot. I can honestly say Andrew Previtt is a life member. He's left now. He left about 6 years ago, but I grew up playing with him. He played for Rooty Hill and I played for Bankstown Sports, like I mentioned in part one.
Yeah.
And he was one of the toughest, strongest, probably not the fittest bloke. Always loved a good rum and coke and, things like that, and smoked and all like that. But yeah,
Before the
he
game
was
or after the game?
Oh, 1 or 2 maybe before the game. Yeah, the days were different back then, Matt.
Yeah, I can
um,
resonate with that.
yeah, I'm sure a lot of us can. But he was just a really, really good, strong, consistent player that I really enjoyed playing with. Look, a lot of the young guys that I'm playing with now, Cody Stone and Ryan Clattenbold and Tristan Potts and, my son Jack Baxter, Hayden, not Ethan, Tommy. These guys are absolute little superstars, but the game has changed, and they probably don't know the physical toughness that we used and were a part of in our generation. The game was definitely more like an ice hockey game. There was more body checks. There was more niggling, definitely more swearing. Um, all of the, sledging. There was a lot of sledging. So all of these things were a part of getting into the opposition's head. A lot of the associations and referees want to outlaw all this stuff, and I think you're losing the true character of the game. It's a tough game, and it should be treated like a tough game. It's not all pretty and trimmings, So, but yeah, there's been a lot of players. Chris Stone was another great player that I played with. Michael McCann, when I was a junior, made it to the Olympics. Fantastic player. There's so many, to be quite honest. The Rixes from Moorbank that I played reps with. The Nylons that played for Glebe, his father was an ex-Olympian, played with the Suns. The son, Aaron, great player. So there's been a lot of players that I've sort of grown up through my younger years with that went on further and really done great things. Chris Mosley at Narellan, he's another great player that I played with. I've got two old fellas that I've sort of played with for a long time, Jacob Beattie and Darren Pierce, and those two guys are absolute gladiators, and they wanted to step down at the start of the year, and I said, "Nah, boys, I need just one more year." And they were hugging me and kissing me, saying at the end of the grand final, "Thank you so much, mate." So, it's those relationships that you sort of look at and you think, we've gone through so much to get here, and they're great things. We really had some good players, Stanton and Rids come in this year, Robbie. Like I said, all the first grade guys, really. Terrence Bolden, one of the phenomenal freaks of a player, just unbelievable the stuff he can do on the field. Our goalkeeper, BK, Tristan Potts' brother, Brendan, phenomenal goalkeeper. There's been miles of players. I'm probably going to get off and have phone calls going when they see this. Why didn't you mention me? We done this, we done that. But there's so many, mate. There's too many to mention.
Don't worry. I did the same thing. I wrote an article about my football team at the end of the season and forgot to add one of the guys. And the first bloke that rang me when it got published was this guy goes, "Oh, didn't you think what I did was good?" I named like 28 guys. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I just forgot, mate. So I didn't do it deliberately. It's just appreciate all your effort and everything through the year. Just stuff happens. So
I know there's some old guys. We've got an old guy, Lance, that plays with us, Argentinian bloke, and Lance is like 73, and he was like an international player, and he still gets out there and still tries hard in second grade, and he really shouldn't be out there because he's really struggling with his health. But when he was in his heyday, he was absolutely a gem. Johnny Ross, Mahendra, Nashi. These old guys are sort of the old workhorses, you could say, and they're still, getting old, and they still play the game. They play it tough, they're great
Yeah,
players. Scotty Williams, another great player that I've played
yeah.
with. So
So I noticed with hockey and ice hockey, right? The goalkeepers. Now, I've been a goalkeeper in soccer for years and that stuff, and lost a fair few teeth being goalkeeper too. Doesn't bother me in particular, but a little bit unhinged because it takes a special kind of person to be able to dive at people with a stick. Number two, take balls to the head or body, even though you've got the guards there. You got to get that through your head that you're going to be all right and you're going to pull out of this okay. It's a different kind of beast when you can goalkeep and be competitive at that level.
I've played goalkeeper and won premierships in second grade in goals, and I love it. You definitely have to be a beast. You definitely have to be a little bit, probably a few screws loose, But in saying that, um, a goalkeeper, a good goalkeeper. My brother's a goalkeeper, and we grew up playing together, and we won a premiership in Sydney for Canterbury, and he used to come out of the goal mouth and try to take the player and the ball, and I'd run in behind him and back that goal up, sort of thing. So he always knew that he could rely on me.
Yeah,
If he missed the player and the ball, that I was there to defend those goals. And when you have that with a goalkeeper and you can read each other, it's really when you've got something magical and something very special. And I had the choice out of two goalkeepers this year in this first grade team, and I decided to go with the younger guy whose brother's also in the team. Not for that reason, but I just thought that I want this youth. And
yeah,
I said to him at the end of the grand final, I said, I didn't make the wrong decision, did I? He was give me a big smile, sort of thing. So, but yeah, he was a player that during the year I said to him, you got to look out for this, you got to look for this. And it was probably on the knowledge that I've got as a goalkeeper. I could see he was lacking in a few areas. And each time I said something to him, he went out there and he executed it perfectly. And he just got better and better and better. And, you've got to rely on your goalkeeper. And your goalkeeper is sort of like the conductor in a way. He's got to be able to call the shots. And, if a player's running loose and, the defender's not on him, he's got to be able to sort of be that voice. So to me, I've got great respect for goalkeepers, great respect.
yeah. Well, not only are they saving the shots, and that they, like you said, they're getting the ball, then distributing things from the back, and it starts at the back with the keeper. So when your team's confident, that's one less thing they got to worry about. Is the keeper going to be able to do his job? Our keeper's a weapon, so he's going to do the job,
That's right.
and he's going to be like an extension of our attacking arm. Talk us up or back as we need to do it, and
Yeah.
it can make an extra attacking player by having a good keeper because you can utilize your backs a little bit differently then as well.
Oh, definitely. If you're not having to do man-to-man mark because that last player is being marked by your goalkeeper, that makes a huge difference. It means when you get the turnover, you're already on the front foot, because you've got one loose guy running around the field. So that's very valuable in hockey and soccer, these sports where, you're sort of playing 11 on 11 sort of thing. So.
Yeah. So when you played against Penrith and they Panthers pulled the goalkeeper off the play, obviously they dropped an extra midfielder in so they could overload the middle. Um,
Yeah.
how did you play around that? Because they would have been trying to shut the back down and then counter attack straight away. Every time they'd turn the ball over, it would have been to go forward every time. So there would have been a purpose for what they were doing, and it would have been hard to manage that.
Possession is a big part of it. And when we got the possession, we really shot some holes in them with our speed because we knew they didn't have a goalkeeper. So we knew once we get that breakaway, you're not having to face that goalkeeper. The last guy, because they were promoting high, as long as we bypass him with one or two long passes, we got an open goal. So, possession was a big part of it. And when we were turning the ball over, we were turning it over down in their area if we were turning it over. So that was definitely key to that was, Yeah, just not allowing them to get that possession in our half to be able to utilise the numbers,
Yeah.
which is not always easy. It doesn't always go that way, you know. Like I said, the stars aligned on that day, and we got the job done, you know. But it showed they're desperate, you know. It showed that they were desperate. And I spoke to the goalkeeper, who was the guy I actually was going to pick in first grade. So I know him well. Great guy, Steve Bryce, and he was like, they couldn't score with me on the field. What makes you think they're going to score without me on the field? And I just laughed, you know, because he's a phenomenal goalkeeper. And
Yeah.
I don't think it was probably the right move,
Yeah.
me personally. But, you know, that was their choice, mate, you know, so.
Yeah. Well, you expose yourself, right? So you get one extra attacking player on the actual pitch, but if you turn the ball over, like seen it plenty of times in soccer, the keeper will go up to throw the ball forward, throw numbers forward, thinking they're going to get an easy goal, and then you
Yeah.
turn it over and you give up a goal, right? Trying to chase the game, and it's a fine line between like brilliant tactics or well, ebb with disaster. So, and
I think with our speed and our agility and our fitness being better than theirs, it
yeah,
was hard for them to do it because at that stage of the game, they were gassed.
yeah,
You know, so that really was, they were sort of putting more pressure on their players to work harder, and I just don't think they had the fuel in the tank.
yeah,
Where we still had fuel in the tank to go. So, you
yeah.
know, we were doing a quick release of a player, you know, the ball player, and then bang straight on to the player. So, you know, great communication on our young fellas'
Yeah,
halves. Really good communication. Definitely was
yeah.
big part of that.
So, what does the future look like for your club in general? Anyway, so you're premiers this year in first grade. You won the women's second grade. What's your junior pathway look like at the moment coming through? Have you got a plethora of stars coming through into the club in the junior levels that are going to move up and hopefully succeed and take places of the players in Premier Leagues? That's what you want to see. You want to see that like conveyor belt of players and talent constantly coming through.
I think our men's side's looking good. Our girls' side could be a little bit better. It's mixed comp in our juniors.
Yeah,
Uh, look, to be quite honest, we're struggling for numbers. You know, like even though we've got like the 8s, the 11s, the 13s, and the 16s, we've got players backing up from the younger years to fill those older teams.
yeah,
So, and I think that's for every team in the association. And like I've said, our association's always tried to cater putting hockey on a Thursday and a Friday because they say, oh, but these other sports play on a Saturday and we're going to lose players. I never agreed with that. I believe you should put it on a Saturday morning, make it be the prime choice for the child. That to me, you're representing that we're just as good as these other sports. Um, that's my outlook on it. I know a lot of people disagree with that and go, oh no, but they could play dual sports and all like that. I didn't grow up playing dual sports. I was a soccer player until I was like 8, from 5, and then I went, I want to be a hockey player, and I chose that sport, and that was the sport I ran with for the rest of my life.
yeah,
Played football and all like that, you know. But yeah, I think sometimes we've got to prioritise our own sport to be one of the front runners. And I
yeah,
think New South Wales hockey needs to step up to the mark a bit more. I think Hockey Australia needs to step up to the mark a bit more.
yeah,
Um, you know, I'm sure that a lot of these pay packets these guys are getting, you know, huge pay packets, you know, maybe filter it a bit more back down to grassroots and you know, we do a thing called development in hockey, and it's fantastic. I've done it with my 2 children, my 2 youngest last year, but it's, you know, like $600. A lot of people don't have $600 after paying for the whole year of hockey and sticks and all of that to then put that back into developing for hockey. You know, I think it's a bit more of a money grab than it is actually developing the sport because you're
yeah,
making it elite, you know, and that's not affordable. So,
yeah,
you know, for us, like Rooty Hill, the demographics, you know, families don't have a lot of money. We're the cheapest club out there to play for. And we work really, really hard in our fundraising to keep it affordable for families
yeah.
and for young ones to play hockey.
Now this is a huge problem. There is so a good example I got with that. You got SAP soccer, so skills acquired program that's between like under nines to 13s, and you've got youth league soccer and that. But to get a
Yep.
kid at that elite level to play rep soccer for, let's say, Blacktown City or Blacktown Spartans, or even just a local association, you're looking somewhere between 1,800 to nearly 3 grand to play, and your kid's probably still going to be registered with the local club side as well for a few $100, and
Yep.
that's a lot of money. That's a lot of
Yeah.
money. So,
Yep.
and I think what you're talking about playing and competing with the other sports. One of my mate's sons, and I don't criticise him. He's just doing it. He plays
Yep.
hockey for Emu Plains. He
Yep.
plays rugby union for Western Raptors. He plays soccer for Emu Plains. He plays about 10 different sports. So he plays all over the place. So if you made him have to pick, well, he's going to have to shelve some of those sports. And I told him, you're going to have to pick a couple of these sports. You're not going to be able to do 8 or 9 sports. It's not
No.
viable like that. That's not the reality of it. When I was growing up too, yeah, I played soccer on Saturdays. Then when it becomes Sundays, then I started playing rugby union on Saturdays and soccer on
Yep.
Sundays as well. But like at school, yeah, you do school sports at school. Other than that, it did soccer and rugby, and then in summer do cricket and maybe basketball or something like that. It didn't do 28 sports because you're trying to do 3 or 4 things every day of the week. So
Well, I
all
think
the
you.
competitions have changed it so you can do it now.
Yeah, but I think also you're not actually going to become really an elite player in one of the sports because you're focusing too much on all of these variations.
Yeah, all
So
over the place.
yeah, like the body mechanics of a football player isn't the body mechanics of a hockey player, like the body mechanics of a hockey player isn't the body mechanics of a softball player or a netball player. There might be similarities, but to learn and hone the skill, you've really got to adapt to that sport, and repetition is everything. And if you've
Yeah,
got 5 sports to practice every afternoon, which one are you picking?
yeah,
Are you doing it 5 days a week? Are you out there with a hockey stick every night? That was me as a kid. I was out there every night practicing that one sport that I loved.
yeah,
And I think that variety is great, and maybe for the first season or two, get them to
yeah,
find what they want to do and what they're into. But after that, I think you've got to make them make a choice, and yeah, stick with it and ride with it, and you know
yeah,
you don't just become a superstar overnight. This takes a long process.
yeah. Yeah, that's what I've seen now. Like, there's a lot of people that want instant results, expect instant things. So I'm going to play hockey. How come I'm not in the Olympics? How long you
Yeah,
play for? 18 months.
yeah.
Give it 5 years and give it everything
That's
you've got for 5 years, and we'll see if you can do the absolute best you can and develop. And if you can, I'm sure you'll get captured in the pathways because they're always looking for talented players.
Look, that's my daughter. Oh, Dad, do you think I'll make the team? No, well, not if you're going to train the way you're training. You're not training enough.
Yeah,
If you want it, you've got to be so hungry for it, because there's a kid out there that is hungry for it.
yeah,
And they're doing all the extras. Like I said about Cody Stone, I laid a astroturf field, like a part of my backyard, years ago for my son Jack, and I gave Cody's parents a bit of the offcut. I said, "Oh, you can put it out, sort of underneath your awning." Well, mate, this kid was like, "I'm not putting it under my awning." He had it on in front of the TV in the bloody lounge room, and trained every night with his skill. He was obsessed, and that's
yeah,
why he's got to that level, and that's why he's one of the best players out there at the moment, is because he was fascinated by it. And when you're fascinated by something and you just want to keep excelling, it's never good enough. You want to get
yeah.
better, and you want to get better again, and you want to get better. And as you do, you see the rewards.
Yeah, that's the thing I remember from being a kid. So growing up and playing soccer or playing footy on the streets, your mates, you'd be walking around kicking a footy or kicking a soccer ball, just dribbling it up the road on your own. Or if you're playing cricket, you'd have a cricket bat and just bouncing a ball off that, just walking around, tennis ball, whatever, didn't matter. You bowl
Yep.
at a garbage bin on your own. If you didn't have stumps or anything, you just improvise. Soccer, you'd make a couple of goals out of a bag. Hockey, I'm sure you did the same thing, set up a couple of goals out
Yep.
of a bag and dribble
Yep.
around stuff. So just get the hang and the technique of it.
I
You
used
don't
to
see
use
that
a golf
anymore.
I used to use a golf ball when I first started in hockey, because I was always a fan of Don Bradman,
Yeah,
and he used a golf ball.
yeah,
And what I realised was, that golf ball travels a lot quicker and reacts a lot quicker and faster than a hockey ball did. So my
yeah,
reflexes were on point from a very young age because I was doing something that other kids weren't doing,
yeah.
and you've got to sort of you just got to desire it. I think desire is the thing that maybe kids lack a bit these days. They've got too many options, like I said, and you've got to get them to believe in themselves and to
Yeah.
believe that it's worthwhile. And I think for my daughter, she played in my second grade women's team, and she found that camaraderie that I was talking about. She found that sisterhood, and once they're sold on that, I think you're halfway there. They might not make the
100%.
Olympics, they might not be world champions, but they will love the sport that they're playing, and that's all
Yeah,
that's all I ask for. Is love the sport. Embrace it.
yeah, and be committed to it. So stick it out with your brothers or your sisters, and give it everything you've got.
That's
So
right.
so what does the future hold for you in the world of coaching in hockey? So you're coming to the other side of the hill as I am in football. So
Mate,
how
I'm
long do you reckon you
stepping.
got left playing? And where's your
Oh,
hockey coaching
I'll,
going
I'll
to go?
play. I'll play for until the day I die. Probably, I'll probably die
Yeah,
on the hockey field. um, I'm stepping down from first grade. The two other guys that I mentioned before that played in first grade with us, they're stepping down. So a few of us are stepping down to let some players that I've sort of developed up to come in next year. We'll try to sign a few players also. But for me, it's definitely trying to establish the next level, like I said, with Blacktown Council, try to get more of our own identity, because that then sort of sets us up for the future. We went and done new shirts this season, new singlets. We've got new matching shorts coming in next year. We pay a lot of money out for players that play reps. So all of that needs to continue. Um, and it's all about now for me. It's more developing. And
yeah,
probably this year I had my seniors all running at the same time. So I had my women running uh, when my men were running. And next year I'll be having it staggered so I can spend more time with the men
yeah,
because they're going to need it. They're going to need it. Panthers are going to, I'm sure, come out wanting to do the best they can do. And
yeah,
we've got to be prepared for that. And I think the way we do that is using my sort of knowledge and ability more so because these guys have got all the talent. I don't really have to work hard for those things. It's not a skill-based thing. It's just more of a tactical side
yeah,
that they need to have in place, and just to be able to run the bench professionally more so than we did this year. It was like I said, we were short on players a lot of the time, so we couldn't really do much. When you haven't got the subs, you haven't got the subs. But next year, I'd like to have, each team stacked again. Make sure those subs are there. So yeah, continue with the fundraising, continue with developing the club. We've got a great relationship with Rooty Hill RSL Hockey RSL Club, the HQ.
yeah,
They're phenomenal. They've always helped us out with grants to put back into the club, and we couldn't do it without them. My uncle and Chris Stone and Vic Previtt, my uncle's Peter Baxter. They sort of struck that up with a few of the old CEOs and all of that back in the day, 41 years ago, and it hasn't stopped growing. We're bigger and stronger than we ever have been. We're probably more professional than we ever have been. We're definitely not the misfits that we used to be, you could say. We're all a bit rough and ready, bit of the rebel sort of club. But,
yeah,
I'm trying to not lose that culture because I think that culture is always very important to have acceptance of every diversity of people. That's a really important side for me is, you shouldn't have to be rich to play the game. And, if we can help families out, and make their kids better people for the community, that's fantastic. And I don't ever want to lose sight as a club for that. And some of those people that we've helped out over years are the most giving people back to the club. And, that's when you see the rewards when some of the guys that have played for the club for 20 years and they always pay their fees and all like that. They don't really do any fundraising or any helping out at the barbecues or, they're just there for themselves to play, which is all right, But then you've got those people who've helped out and they go above and beyond for you.
Yeah.
I always want to be thankful for those people. And that's the culture we love for us to maintain into the future club for everyone, not just ageism. You're a part of them, and be loyal to the club. Don't be loyal to each other, and all of that stuff. I say that all the time to people. Is be loyal to the club. The club will take care of them. Just know that the hierarchy will take care of it if it is a major problem. If there is personality differences, if members bringing the club into disrepute, those people that you voted into those positions of president, vice president, things like that will deal with it. I'm lucky I've got a fantastic guy, Darren Caulfield, who's a police officer, senior detective for a long time in Mount Druitt. He's moved to Balmain now. I think because of his history in the police force, he's just an excellent guy to work with in the club because he's got that standard. And he understands the demographics of Mount Druitt and Rooty Hill and Doonside and all of those surrounding areas, Blackett, Wayland, where people can be a little bit rough on the edges, but got a heart of gold. And that's definitely a big part of us going forward. Is keeping those people in the loop and not becoming something we're not. Not becoming something we're not. We're a family club, and we want to develop as many great players. And if we get a few Olympians or a few state players, that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, everyone should get an equal fair share of time and effort from the club.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's what it's got to be all about. You want everyone to, in a perfect world, everyone will contribute to the club in some way, and they'll do all the bits and pieces they can. The volunteers keep these things ticking over. So volunteers help with training, washing gear, all this sorts of stuff, ringing around, chasing people up. That all helps. All those little bits and pieces help make the fabric of the whole club being successful. So, and people like yourself as well, being passionate and giving as much time as you do, and the other committee members and that, without all these people, the clubs wouldn't exist either. So, always thank the committees for what they do because they're doing stuff behind the scene. It's easy to take pot shots at committees and that. They're the guys that run around trying to get sponsorship money and that help make your regos cheaper and all that sort of gear too.
Oh, that's exactly it. Look, I've had plenty of run-ins with the association. I've always had difference of opinion. I've never sort of been backwards in saying that, but I appreciate all the efforts that they go to. You know what I mean? Whether we get on the hockey field is beside the point. I always respect people's efforts because I make those same efforts. So I like to think we can always come together and try to do the best for hockey. Not the individual, at the end of the day, that's, I suppose, my outlook on those types of political things, because every association, every sport has this political side to it. My kid's better or my club's better or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you want good sport being played, competitive sport, and where it is safe, my kids have grown up down at the university. I grew up at the Crest in Georges Hall, at those fields every weekend, Tuesday, Thursday nights at training. It's a safe haven. And I have two churches. One is the ski club on the Peen River and one is the hockey centre down at the university. And it's a summer-winter type thing, for me. And I love those places, Said to my boys, when I die and, you give me my funeral, make sure those ashes are going in those two places, because that's where I spend most of my time, It's where I have the most happiness. And I suppose sometimes a little bit of frustration, not on
Right.
the river, but at the hockey centre, definitely
Yeah.
a bit of frustration. But
Yeah.
it's time for me decompression, let the pressure go now. And, it's more get my head into the books and, sort of just do those tactical things and make those contacts and get the marketing better and try to recruit better.
Yeah.
And then it's all off again, mate, next year.
So Tony Bleasdale, he's the mayor of Blacktown. Tony, if you're listening, I'll make sure I tag him in this post so he can get it. The
I'd
club could do
appreciate
with a
it,
bit of
Tony.
help there. So I know you like doing a lot of stuff for sports in the Blacktown area. So hit these guys up, mate. I'm quite sure that Troy would be very keen to have a chat to you. And I know Tony's proactive about doing everything that's good for Blacktown, the whole area. So I'm sure that he's going to be able to do something for you.
I'll be really honest here, Matt. You have state championships, right, in hockey, and you're going to
Yeah.
have 3 fields to run state championships, okay?
Yeah.
So when that state championship's on, mate, you will not be able to get a hotel. You will, mate, every shopping centre, every cafe will be packed out because of hockey players. Now,
Yeah.
we don't have that out here in Penrith. We don't
Yeah.
have that in Blacktown. Now, if they develop 3 fields for us, I guarantee the shopping centres would make money. All of these community-based small business and big business places like HQ, where they've got the big travel lodge, I think it is, they would
Yeah.
be selling every room out while those state championships are on. So you're guaranteeing X amount of dollars coming into the community every year, and that's where we've really got to look at what are we doing here? What are we doing for the community that gives back? Because the hockey community give back.
Yeah.
I do state championships with my kids all through their lives, all through their, and I went through those state championships myself when my dad would pay for the accommodation, pay for all the meals, pay for the fuel on the way home at the local fuel place,
Yeah.
so that's what we've got to sort of get that really good relationship with the council. Because as I said, the university is very hard because it's on federal land to make changes and to get things done. Where,
Yeah.
Narellan has grown tenfold because they're dealing with the council and their field hire is cheaper compared to ours, so there's a lot of things we can do for hockey, and
Yeah.
we should be because we've been world champions, we've been gold medal winners,
Yeah.
we should be
Well,
endorsing a sport that we've been heavily successful in.
I'm pretty sure the Hockey Roos are in the top 4 and the Kookaburras are still in the top 2, aren't they?
That's right. That's right. And we've already been admitted into the Olympics. That just happened when the Oceanic Cup against New Zealand a few weeks ago when the Matildas were playing. And look at how many millions and millions and millions of dollars we pumped in to having that World Cup. And hockey sort of needs that at the grassroots. So we continue. Like we've got a massive, massive Indian population now in the West.
And they're one of the biggest countries in the world in hockey.
And you know what? All the Australian players go and play in that league over there. Why is that? Because we're not developing. We haven't got the backing that we need. And, that's why I suppose for me, I keep saying it to people. I need to do something more. I need to take it to the next level. I need to be the visionary of this sort of thing and, speak to the council and say, look, we need the state-of-the-art stadium so you can get better camera angles. You can televise these matches where you can do more with the vision that you're seeing, because the vision is so quick that you're seeing in what we've got on TV on Fox that people are missing a lot of stuff. But that can be improved. That can be changed. We can modify that. We can build it to something better. So, I think for me, I'd like to get into that side of it a bit more as time goes on, just to have people embrace the sport the way I embrace it and go, wow, that's unreal. That's, like I love watching rugby league. I love it. But it also is because of the camera angles and the big hits, and you're right there in the middle of it. You feel the impact, and with hockey, we need to be able to get that feeling while you're viewing, the sport, and I think that would help immensely we're making it more popular and making it widely used sport by young people. So, everything's got to be made cool these days. We're dealing with a lot of kids who watch YouTube and all like that. It's a different era, mate. It's a different era. So we're gonna come up with some new strategies,
Yeah, 100%. To engage the young population. That's the aim of it. So
yeah.
So there you go. Troy, thank you very much for your time. Can see you're a passionate guy. You love Rooty Hill RSL. I'm glad you got your premiership.
Thank you,
The
Matt.
first one for the
Appreciate
club
it.
in first grade, and you got one as a coach as well. So always a massive deal. I
I
wish you
still got the
all the
smile
best
on
for
my
everything.
face.
For everyone that's listening to this now, this is going to go on Duckman TV on YouTube, and it will go on to my page, Duckman TV, on Facebook as well. This will become a story for the independent magazine Blacktown for what month we're in now, September. I've done October for November, so it'll be in there. People will be able to catch that digital and also in print. And we'll have this up as a podcast on Weekend Warriors. Troy, thanks for your time again. I'll make sure I share all these links. You'll get everything that we've done, and really just appreciate and just love your passion too. Like you like talking to you is like talking to a hockey guy, me. Like I'm loving it. So you can just see how much it means to you, and that's the best because that's how much clubs mean to people. And there'll be a lot of people within the whole hockey district where their clubs mean the same to them, and that's what we need to get
Oh,
that story
definitely.
out there.
I appreciate you doing what you're doing. I think it's great. You're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, I do appreciate it. It's a lot of fun chatting to people like yourself that are very passionate and love their sports and love their clubs. So it's great to be able to tell your story. Keep on ducking, everyone.
Honestly, I'll buy you a beer there, Matt.
100%. I'll come down. I'll have a couple of beers with you and talk. I don't know what I'm talking about in hockey, but I'll tell you things to do, and you'll just go, "Shut up, idiot." So.
You're gonna be like my guest trainer, mate.
Oh, 100%.
I love it.
So
Awesome, mate.
go.
Make sure you bring the video camera.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Take care of yourself.
All right, absolutely. Thanks, Troy. There you go.
All right, buddy.
Keep on ducking, everyone. Catch you all soon.